C, the interim board. This is a very tricky thing to figure out, and that is, in this legislation we had to create a board of trustees right from the get-go. And so what we toyed with was appointing NGOs, and that was not very easy to figure out. So what we did is we designed a board made up of all of the highest elected officials in each state and in the District of Columbia and the territories and Puerto Rico, the highest elected official who deals with the election of that particular state. In most cases it's the Lieutenant Governor, in some cases the Secretary of State, and that person is automatically, in this legislation, appointed to the Board of Trustees by law. When this national initiative is enacted into law, that person, whoever that is automatically appointed by law to the Board of Trustees. And so now that person is entitled to vote on the policies of the, but it's an interim board. And so now that board has certain tasks, and they're very specific. The first task is to turn around and set up the procedures along with the director. Now let me go to D, which is the director. The director, along with the electoral trust, the director is the chief executive officer of the electoral trust. Now he is responsible, or she is responsible, for the day-to-day management and operations consistent with the policies of the electoral trust. The director shall conduct the first election, because that's the first thing that happens after this law is passed. The first thing they do is they're going to have an immediate election of the Board of Trustees as soon as possible. So you can begin to see that the director would immediately take the electoral information from Philadelphia 2, which has just conducted a national election. He'll take the rolls from Philadelphia 2, use those rolls, because the electoral trust will be immediately registering everybody in the United States as voters for life. So that may take a bit of time. So in the meantime, there'll be an amalgam of that, plus the rolls from Philadelphia 2 that will be turned over to the electoral trust, and the director will be charged with conducting an immediate election of the permanent electoral trust. And so now you've got and that's the reason why we picked the various officials from each state who handle state elections. So who's better qualified to go out and figure out how to register everybody for life and how to conduct this immediate election? We picked the people most qualified, most experienced to do this. Just makes sense. And so that's what we put in place. Now there's an interesting facet to this, and it's based upon my personal experience. In my career, I've been responsible for two major commissions. One is an international commission which involved the Panama Canal, creating a sea level canal. It involved bringing Japan, Panama, and the United States into a commission, and it was designed to bring about a sea level canal. Well, that commission didn't work very well because, for the same reason, that I had a transportation commission that tried to bring about the amalgam of sea, air, and land transportation. And that didn't go very well either, because the people, myself and my staff, we had a vision of what we wanted to do. But once we designed the commission, it was taken over by bureaucrats, it was taken over by people who had no vision. And so all they wanted to do was to be able to have meetings annually and enjoy. So the Panama Canal, they had a meeting in Japan one year, a meeting in Panama, a meeting in Washington, and it went on and on. Nothing ever really advanced. And the same thing with the other commission. They studied it ad nauseum, and then the study went on the shelf, and that was the end of it. Well, I got burnt, and so for good reason, I really wanted to see that when we created this initial commission, and with a director, that this director would be a person who had a sense of the vision of what we wanted to accomplish, so that the director serves for 6 years, term limited, and that the first director is appointed by who? The board of directors of Philadelphia 2, the organization that conducts this national election. So here's an organization that is bringing about, in behalf of the American people, this law that empowers the American people to make laws. These are the people that have worked to bring about the vision for the American people. They're the ones that will select whoever this director will be, and he'll be term limited, and he'll be supervised by the elected trust. Thereafter, this trust, the majority of the trust, will then appoint future directors of the electoral trust. But we're guaranteed that somebody that has the vision of empowering the American people will be at least the focal point of this leadership role from the get-go, having been burnt twice in my political career in realizing that once this gets into the hands of bureaucrats who may not have the vision but are more concerned with perpetuating their own power. It's not going to be perfect, but it's the experience that I've had to try and overcome that possible liability or that possible shortcoming. That's the reason why I have this in the law. Then there's a way to remove a director, and that's under the director, and that it would take a 3/4 vote of the full membership of the Board of Trustees to remove the director, or by a majority, simple majority vote of the voters participating in a national recall election. Here again, with a group of citizens can put forth a national initiative and can recall the director of the national initiative. That's simple majority vote. The vacancy. If there's a vacancy, it can be filled by a majority vote of the membership, a simple majority vote of the membership of the Board of Trustees. The oath of office, just like you have a oath of office to the Constitution, you would have a similar vote of office to the sovereignty of the American people.